Marvel. I think the Hulk is probably my favorite character. I grew up watching the old Bill Bixby show, and I had a number of treasured issues.
The Hulk, from a drawing standpoint, was something I always wanted to draw because I'm, deep down inside, I'm a monster guy. And here you have the ultimate superhero monster.
I'd been working with Mark Paniccio when he came to Marvel, and he's the editor of the Hulk books. And eventually, when it came time for them to find a new Hulk writer, I guess my name had, I'd insinuated myself enough that, and dropped enough hints that they were like, oh yeah, I think Pac likes the Hulk.
I was thrilled to death to get the opportunity to draw it. Going back to my artistic roots, I'm a Frazetta guy. I'm a guy that enjoys barbarian comics and this type of stuff. So they said, we were doing the Hulk, but it's, Hulk the Barbarian, or I was like, this couldn't get any better for me.
All of these characters are mythic, but I think the Hulk is just a really pure character in the sense that the theme is so strong. It's about the price of anger. And then, a big green guy running around in purple pants, you can't beat that. What happened was they called me in, they said, hey, we're seriously thinking about this new Hulk story. We think you might be a good match. What do you think about this? And Joe Quesada, editor-in-chief, I'm like standing in his office being very excited because it was when I was still fairly new at Marvel, and getting there, standing in the office with Joe was exciting. And he says, and he said, he spoke a sentence and there were like 5 words in there that, and I immediately knew I had to do it. I mean, he said, Hulk, alien planet, giant battle axe, monsters, gladiator, a few key words like that, and I knew exactly what the story was going to be. And they let me go to town. The Hulk's own story rapidly became very clear. And I had this gut feeling that you put Hulk on this alien planet, that the Hulk needed to be an underdog to begin with, and that gradually he would build back up to something else. But also that he had been exiled from Earth because everybody thought he was a monster, basically. And so this was going to be a redemption arc. And it was about the Hulk finally finding a place where his strength and his anger are actually virtues, where this is a world which needs somebody like that, and to see if he could rise to the occasion, and what kind of story we would get out of that.
Carlo did a majority of the design work, at least initially the concept of the planet and the inhabitants, what they look like. Since he did the first arc, I came in on the second arc. And so a lot of that stuff was established. What I had to do was, there were characters that I had to design, and there were cities that I had to design that he hadn't designed yet, but I had a template to work from. I had to design the interior of the throne room and where this big fight was, some of the city stuff, and there was different elements in there. You look at the style and say, okay, what kind of style of architecture, what has been established here? And then you could have take that and kind of run with it, whereas opposed to just going from scratch and going, this is an alien city, what do I want it to look like?
Having people like Aaron and Carlo and Gary Frank, who did some pages later on down the line, all these guys have been amazing to work with because they get the emotional content, which is so key. The artists are basically the actors. They're taking that script and they're making it come to life by the way they draw these characters. They're performing the story. And then they all had that little extra something where they know how to deliver that Hulk smash.
Greg and I got along great. Greg's a film school guy, has a film background, and so do I. And so when we found that out about each other, it was like, we started, first off, just swapping film school stories and things like that. And he would send me a script that a lot of times would have like thumbnails and stuff, like he had storyboarded it out himself. But at the same time, he didn't do it to be controlling or saying this is how it has to be. He was very, it was just how he kind of got his ideas down on paper. There are certain times when I can definitely have something in my head and I'm going to push, until I get close to it. And Aaron would always deliver above and beyond, but there were a few times when we would go back and forth on some stuff. There was one splash in particular, which was, I gave him an almost impossible kind of image to draw of the Hulk and Kyra, where each one of them is punching the other one with tremendous force. And how do you do that in a single page? Show 2 people each hitting each other. You know what I mean? It's like it can come off. Look, it's just a really hard thing to do. I guarantee you, I did 10 different versions of that page, changing the angle, changing the look, and trying to figure out. Because whenever you have a scene where you have two characters, you really want to feature both of them equally, but they're going at each other. You inevitably have to favor one character over the other. So you're looking over somebody's shoulder and looking at the other one, but you're like, well, but then you have to create a certain angle where the impact, and we have something that is as great as impact and as forceful as that punch was supposed to be, you have to draw it from an angle that really enforces the power behind the blow. So now you're dealing with multiple elements, trying to make it, all of those work, in harmony so that you have this great picture at the end.
If I remember correctly, Ladrone drew the first images of Hulk in gladiator armor. I'm pretty sure that came from Ladrone first, and then Carlo was riffing on that. And Ladrone just has a fantastic imagination, and just is really great at creating a world. And we would see the covers a long time before the issue was written, and so there were certain things that I'd be inspired by. In the very first cover, there's the Hulk is fighting on this. It's like this high shot looking down as the Hulk fights this big tentacled monster. Those tentacles, I just thought they were just a fantastic looking monster, and that became the monster that they end up fighting in the arena. The other two that are total favorites of mine was the cover for '95, which was the Hulk and in the Silver Savage. He's using his surfboard as a shield, and it's just kind of, and Ladrone just drew an amazing cover for that. And then issue 98, I think, is the Hulk and Kyra facing off, and she's holding up this kind of ornate dagger and stuff. But are they gonna fight, or are they gonna kiss? You know what I mean? It's this very great loaded image. Chris Sotomayor, who did the colors, I had a great conversation with him early on, and he had this inspiration that there should be no green on the planet except the Hulk and Kyra's eyes. That's the little hint at the very beginning that they're destined for each other. And gradually, as the Hulk does more and more, you see green come in after he's bled and saved people, and helped people on this planet. It's like he's put his heart and soul into this planet, and now green starts to come out. Meek it was funny because in that first draft of the first script, my editor, Mark, was great on that. He kept coming back to me with Meek's dialogue, because I'd gone through a few different, and at one point I had Meek very sort of colloquial, kind of just American, sort of casual, slangy, and Mark kept coming back to me. He's like, we got to find something different with Meek. Keep playing with that. The way he talks, to find an interesting way for him to be understandable and not annoying, but still have his grammar goofy. And that was to have all his verbs become gerunds. So he's saying, Meek fighting instead of, Meek will fight or whatever, So that was, and then as the thing goes on, as he gains more confidence and spends more time among these other gladiators, his language becomes more normal.
I got to design the metamorphosed Meek. He became harder to manipulate because, you have that big shell and the arms, when you're, have somebody swinging a sword or something like that, when the shoulders can't bend because they're in this shell or something, made it a little bit more difficult after I designed him. It's one of those crazy designs where when their arms are at their side, you go, oh, this looks really cool. But then you realize you got to move them, and you go, that doesn't really work very well.
It was just such a gift to be able to work on a story like this, because they gave us the space and let us run with it and let us build these characters, these new characters from scratch, and set them up with backstory that could totally pay off by the end of this thing. You know what I mean? That's a pretty special opportunity in comics to have that kind of time.
I felt when I was working on it that it was going to be a classic. You go back to Planet Hulk as the new starting point for the Hulk. And, so how did he get here? Well, let's go back to Planet Hulk and see how he got to where he's at right now.
It's kind of mind-blowing, actually, in a way, just looking back on it, because these stories have spawned other stories. World War Hulk, it's the next big beat. In a lot of ways, World War Hulk is the resolution of Planet Hulk. It is where all of these themes of Planet Hulk come to a head. It's where the tragedy plays out, frankly. You know what I'm saying? Because Planet Hulk was all about the redemption, and World War Hulk is about the price you pay for what you may have done along the way. It's a story of vengeance unbridled. The Hulk as angrier than he's ever been. And from all his experiences on this planet, he is smart and canny and strategic, and he has an army of his war-bound companions. And he's filled not with blind rage, but righteous rage, totally directed. He's the most dangerous Hulk anybody has ever seen. After World War Hulk, I wrote a 12-issue Scar series, which was Scar, the son of Hulk. The Hulk had a son that he never knew about. When Kyra was destroyed, she was pregnant, but her son is the son of the Hulk, so he wasn't going to get killed. So Scar ends up, coming of age in this post-nuclear Holocaust kind of world, which has now become a world overrun by barbarians who have come over from Philia, and which was mentioned in the first story, and he has to fight tooth and claw, literally from the day he's born, to survive. So that we did 12 issues of that. Eventually, this character comes back to Earth. This continues those same themes, but now it's going to play out with Banner on Earth, because now Banner and Scar are together on Earth. Just amazing to be able to take this story and over the course of 2 years, just really tell an epic tale, with a real beginning, middle, and end. I'm just very grateful for that opportunity.